North Korea serves as a buffer nation between China and US allied South Korea. Its economy is characterized by a state-controlled and centrally planned system. The government plays a dominant role in financial planning, and key industries are owned by the state. The regime is under the control of the Kim family. The nation has been isolated from the international community, and its closed nature has led to several controversies. Its per capita income is lower than many African countries, and its currency is internationally worthless. The lack of access makes it difficult to assess the true state of the country's economy. Understanding Juche ideology is crucial for grasping North Korea's unique political and economic philosophy, which has influenced its historical development and continues to shape its present circumstances. Juche is the official ideology of the state, which emphasizes self-reliance, independence, and the central role of the Korean people in determining their destiny. It calls for financial, political, and military self-sufficiency, which advocates for minimal dependence on external influences. The commitment to this ideology has contributed to its isolationist tendencies, affecting its approach to international relations, financial policies, and governance. A central tenet of Juche is associated with a level of isolation from global norms and standards, which led to the consequences not only on the economic front, but also on diplomatic relations, making it challenging for the country to engage in meaningful dialogue with other nations. Military expenditure constitutes 25% of the budget. Despite early growth, it faced severe economic challenges, which has been exacerbated by a focus on military development. The country's leadership prioritized military strength and self-reliance over development. This focus often took precedence over investments in other sectors. The consequences of this approach include limited resources allocated to areas critical for sustained growth, which lead to financial challenges and hardships for the population. The military-centric strategy has shaped its historical trajectory, influencing its geopolitical standing and impacting the overall well-being of its citizens. North Korea's pursuit of nuclear weapons has led to international sanctions, which isolated the country economically. These measures have restricted the country's access to global markets, which impeded its growth and development. The limitations on trade and financial transactions have contributed to financial challenges and scarcity of resources, which have created a complex geopolitical environment, impacting its financial situation, diplomatic standing, and overall development. It affects trade flows, especially critical inputs for industry and agriculture. Lifting sanctions is seen as a necessary condition for growth. Smuggling across borders has increased, and China's implementation of United Nations sanctions has become less stringent. Who provides essential support to prevent a humanitarian crisis along its border? North Korea's complex past has significantly shaped its current socio-political landscape. It once was more prosperous than South Korea and was considered a shining example of communism in the developing world. Its economy grew at an impressive rate of 15% per year in the 1970s, surpassing South Korea in certain aspects. But the government's focus on heavy industry led to imbalances, neglecting consumer goods and declining agriculture. It borrowed substantial amounts in the 1970s to finance heavy industry and military buildup, which accumulated a debt of $1.2 billion. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, the financial lifeline was severed, and it struggled to repay its debts. The country lost a major economic and political ally, which led to the breakdown of support and trade. This event exacerbated existing vulnerabilities. It missed opportunities in the early 90s when Eastern Europe began its transition. Heavy industry collapsed while light industry showed some recovery. The collapse of the public distribution system, combined with natural disasters and mismanagement, led to a humanitarian crisis. Moreover, North Korea experienced one of the worst famines in modern history in 1996. The government initiated a mass campaign to breed mountain goats to address the food shortage. It led to the destruction of agricultural land, the flooding of coal mines, and environmental consequences like mudslides and flooding. 5 to 10% of the population perished due to resulting disasters. The fallout from the famine had long-lasting effects on the country's well-being. The closed nature of the regime hindered effective responses to alleviate the suffering of the population. The country had been slow to adopt such changes. This lack of significant reforms has contributed to challenges such as economic stagnation, limited foreign investments, and difficulties in adapting to the changing global financial landscape. Its history is marked by limited reforms as leadership has been hesitant to embrace comprehensive reforms that involve market-oriented policies or opening up to international trade. In 2009, a monetary reform led to confiscation and disastrous consequences, spurring dollarization. It has experienced negative growth in past years over the last 3 decades. The World Food Program, an international organization within the United Nations, has tripled its budget for North Korea to provide food assistance. However, the impact is limited because UN agency staff are barred from entering the country, which hindered effective aid distribution. This situation underscores the complex dynamics involved in providing international aid. The regime has shown resistance and pride to global assistance. Despite citizens facing starvation, there is no indication of change in allowing United Nations agency staff into the country. In February, the regime newspaper criticized foreign aid as poison candy and an insult to the country's honor and dignity. South Korea has offered aid with the condition that North Korea resumes negotiations to end its nuclear weapons program, which was rejected as nuclear arms are considered crucial for the regime's continued existence. Removing nuclear weapons is seen as a threat to its monarchy. It suggests that issues related to nuclear weapons plays an important role in shaping the decisions regarding foreign aid. The cost of food in the country is rising rapidly, which indicates challenges impacting the agricultural production, distribution, and access. This situation implies that people are facing challenges in obtaining an affordable and efficient food source. Despite having vast natural resources, North Korea failed to utilize them effectively. The focus on heavy industry and military left the country dependent on foreign aid for food and fuel. To generate revenue, it engaged in illicit activities, such as drug manufacturing, counterfeiting currency, arms sales, and human trafficking. These activities also isolated the country further in the international community. It faced a severe downturn. The cessation of aid, collapse of trade, and the failure to service its debts contributed to a devastating contraction. Lack of fuel, halted coal mining, and infrastructure breakdown resulted in a 50% collapse. The diversion of resources to the military has impeded overall growth. Efforts to address electricity shortages and the development of alternative energy sources require major investments which pose additional challenges. Initiatives like the Tumen River Project, designed to leverage the comparative advantages of both Koreas, faced difficulties and fell short of ambitious goals. Challenges in legal frameworks, infrastructure development, corruption, and international sanctions have hindered foreign investment. However, the role of the Donju, also known as the wealthy elites in North Korea, is significant with involvement in various sectors, including real estate and circumventing sanctions. They act as private financiers for business ventures, contributing to financial stability but hindering genuine reform. The government uses the Donju for stability, funding projects, and real estate development. It reflects the broader context of economic struggles within the country. North Korea's human rights record has been widely criticized. Reports of political repression, labor camps, and limitations on basic freedoms contribute to the international community's concerns. The country has faced global criticism for its alleged human rights abuses. The centralized and authoritarian regime, coupled with a strong cult of personality around its leaders, has contributed to concerns about the restriction of basic freedoms for the population. These human rights issues play a crucial role in shaping the global community's perception of North Korea, along with its socio-political and financial environment. Its leadership is trapped by ideologies. The country remains largely unchanged and the people continue to suffer. Challenges to reforms in the country are deeply rooted in the regime's resistance to change. International isolation, sanctions, and the pursuit of nuclear weapons further complicate the landscape. The transition in North Korea lacks a clear vision. Missed opportunities in the early 90s, erratic attempts at marketization, failed Tumen River project industrial sectors, the role of the Donju, electricity shortages adds complexity to its financial situation. The revived trilateral alliance involving the United States, South Korea, and Japan is expected to consolidate the China, North Korea, and Russian security bloc. This suggests a changing geopolitical landscape in the region. The country's fate depends on internal development and international dynamics. Only time will reveal whether the country is entering a period of decline or if a bounce back is possible. Comment down below on what you think, and if you like this video, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.